Hi, and welcome to the DecisionWise Engaging People podcast. My name is Charles Rogel. I'll be moderating today's discussion. Today we're doing one of our Meet the Consultant editions, and today's consultant is Kenna Bryan.
Hi, Charles.
Kenna is an associate consultant here at DecisionWise. Today we're just going to learn more about her background, and her approach in working with clients. So Kenna, why don't we just start off with your personal background, like where are you from, where'd you grow up, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, how far back do you want me to go, Charles?
Let's see, where were you born?
I was actually born here in Utah, but I grew up all over. Mm-hmm. So my dad was in the military. He was actually a doctor in the Air Force. So I spent time in Utah, Maryland, in the DC area, Kansas, spent a good chunk of time in Texas, and then in Germany. But then we moved to Nevada, and I actually call Las Vegas home. My dad got out of the military and kind of went to most of high school there. And so the Henderson, Nevada area is home.
So how long were you in Germany for?
3 years.
And how old were you during those years?
12 to 15 years old.
Oh, fun.
So it was kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity.
And you speak German now.
I knew enough. We lived off base, so we lived in a little village next door to a bakery, and I knew enough to order at a restaurant, ask for the bathroom. But I actually took Spanish at the American school on base when I was there, and that's come in pretty useful.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah, I'm the oldest child. I have 2 younger brothers. I have a beautiful niece. We're all obsessed with her.
Cool.
I'm fluent in Spanish. My family and I have actually been involved in a lot of humanitarian work in Central and South America, and that's really shaped who I am. So I always mention that. I served a mission for my church in Ecuador for a year and a half, and yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so education, career background. Where'd you come from before joining DecisionWise?
Yeah, so right before DecisionWise, I actually worked in human resources. So I was an HR business partner at a small business professional employer organization here in Utah. Among other HR responsibilities, I led employee learning and development initiatives and trained client companies on various HR policies and programs, things like that. And then before that, I actually worked in the learning and development industry as the L&D project manager, and it was a leadership training startup, actually, kind of leadership training in a box. They were trying to disrupt the L&D training industry. And so I was the primary person tasked with developing leadership training curriculum and then coaching managers and teams on the implementation of that curriculum.
Great.
So right before that, I actually received a Master's of Public Administration from the Marriott School of Management at BYU, Brigham Young University. And I initially started the MPA specializing in nonprofit management, but then fell in love with organizational behavior and human resources. And so had a double emphasis there. I worked at a large training center here in Utah for 5.5 years, doing some coaching and teaching and training of volunteer representatives on leadership skills and personal development. Okay. And then I'm giving you all the history of my life. I'm actually a certified life coach as well. And then for my undergraduate degree, I did elementary education. So kind of had a varied background.
Interesting. So tell me the difference between a life coach as opposed to maybe a business coach, or the overlap too.
Yeah. So I think a lot of the principles are the same. Life coaches don't necessarily coach solely businesses or client companies, but can focus on just an individual for any skill in life, any goal in life, and kind of teach them to manage thinking and kind of recognize and manage their mind, kind of tools for mastery of that to create results that they want in their life overall. Okay. I think a lot of the principles relate to business coaching and kind of what we do here at DecisionWise, but here I think we focus more on overall client companies, and then we coach individuals, of course, on feedback from 360-degree assessments and things like that. But it's mostly career focused, I would say, in business coaching. So overlapping principles for sure. Oh, great. Okay. Excellent.
All right. So now let's transition, talk a little bit about your role here at DecisionWise. What do we have you doing now?
Yeah. I love being here at DecisionWise. So my title is assessment consultant. And so it's kind of a hybrid role. So I have, some project management responsibilities on the back end on the assessment team here at DecisionWise, as well as consulting and coaching client companies on engagement data and 360 assessments. So I like to say that I'm responsible for helping individuals individuals and teams and organizations see and move toward their potential. I love coaching, and I love helping people, and that kind of is a perfect hybrid role for me.
And I appreciate your help as well with the Engagement Magic training, tapping into your leadership training skills from your previous job and responsibilities. That's been very helpful.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. It's a great training.
Okay, so like we were kind of talking about before, every consultant we bring on to DecisionWise kind of comes here with different skill sets, experiences, kind of their own toolkit. So tell us about kind of your approach with working with clients.
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes I tell people, like, my background is so varied with elementary education and teaching and coaching and training, and but it all kind of relates together. And so I tell people my overall approach is just that I'm passionate about helping people recognize and reach their potential. That's my thing. I love it. So I love helping other people see the good or potential they may not see in themselves. That's really fun for me to help people see what I see in them, or see the good that does exist and that they can tap into. And honestly, Charles, that could be an individual, that could be a client company, that could be a team, a friend, a family member. And so my approach to working with clients is recognizing that, we're all real people with real feelings, real problems, and real solutions going on. And so I love relating and connecting to people, even if it's just a quick phone call, starting off a project, whether it be engagement or 360 assessments. I think it's important to connect with them first. Or, who are you? What's your story? And we're not just here for let's get business done.
Sure.
So I love relating and connecting. I love listening, asking questions, and getting to know people. So I just really find it fascinating that everyone has a story, and I learn so much from other people and their stories. And I love problem solving as well. I think there's a lot of problems that come up as you work in the business field, but there's a lot of solutions as well.
Sure.
And so I always think that there's always a solution, and I love working with people to find that, whether that be something that we can offer or brainstorm. I think there's an opportunity for creative solutions. And so that's kind of my approach, is people based.
Okay. And then what's kind of your philosophy? Well, we kind of say, what's your philosophy on engagement and leadership, but essentially what are maybe your philosophy, but also your influences that have kind of shaped your thinking around those topics?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think besides what I just mentioned about people focused, I think that's probably one of the main things. I actually did a lot of research in my previous roles with developing leadership training curriculum on the influence of recognition and appreciation in the workplace on an employee's engagement, and was astounded by the results that I saw of how much that matters to individuals, that their direct managers or people recognize that they're doing a good job, or recognize something that they contributed. And so I think recognition and appreciation, whether that be for a coworker or your direct report or anybody else, goes a long way. I have been blessed to have some fantastic mentors in my life. I think I've actually been blessed with fantastic bosses. I can't think of one that I've had that has
lucky
been.
You.
Yeah, I am very lucky.
Just you wait.
I am very lucky, and it's just continued here at DecisionWise. And I think some professors as well. But I have a few bosses at that training center that I worked at, and then one of my bosses at the leadership training startup that I think really showed that recognition and appreciation. It made me feel like, oh, I want to make sure I do that for everyone else too. There was a professor in the MPA program named Brad Owens, and he actually researches leader humility and its impact and influence on individuals, teams, and organizations. And honestly, he only substituted for one of our classes, but that has stuck with me for years and years. And so honestly, I think that's been an influence too, is recognizing the influence of being a humble leader. And so I hope to become that one day. I think communication is a huge aspect of my philosophy. I'm a big fan of open communication and open, upfront, and honest communication. And I've been blessed with a great family. They've been really good mentors for me. My parents raised us in an open, communicative environment. So I think they've really shaped who I am. And I could probably go on for hours of the many mentors that have influenced my leadership philosophy. But I think the mentors at my training center, my bosses there, and then my bosses at the leadership training startup have really shaped my philosophy, because I've been able to appreciate good leadership. I've been under good leadership. And so it's helped me see like what I eventually hope to be.
Okay. Excellent.
I also love, I think one of the reasons I was super excited to be here at DecisionWise is that magic that we talked about.
Magic model.
Yes. And I hadn't encountered that before to describe everything that I've felt about employee engagement. But I remember talking to friends sometimes about like, don't you need to find a deeper meaning behind your job? Or wouldn't it be nice if you had the, room to choose your hours, or to decide what projects you work on, or to have growth opportunities? And literally almost every aspect of magic, connection especially, is huge for me. And it's just a beautiful way to sum up, I think, exactly what I agree with employee engagement.
And so for those of you who haven't listened to a podcast before at DecisionWise, we probably have brought up magic on every single one, but essentially it's the 5 keys or drivers for engagement that we found through all of our research. And so it's an acronym for having meaning, autonomy, growth, impact, and connection in your work.
Yep. I love it. I've experienced that personally, and it's definitely shaped who I am, but it's cool to finally put a name or an acronym to part of that philosophy.
Organize it all in your head.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, this has been a pleasure, and really been fun to learn more about you and your influences and background. Anything else you want to share with people that you'll hopefully work with in the future here?
Just that I'm grateful. I think gratitude is a huge part of it, and I think that just watch our magic training, love people, listen to people, and I think the business world could use a little bit more of that.
Agreed. All right. Well, thanks, Kenna. Thanks, everyone, for joining
Charles.
us.